Greetings. My people are destroyed for lack of self-knowledge. You see, many people quote this scripture from Hosea 4 and 6, and they only stop at knowledge. So they say, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, but they never tell you what kind of knowledge. But I'm here to inform you that it is self-knowledge. Now, the reason why most people do not know is self-knowledge. It is because most of the time when they're receiving such a message, they would have already divided themselves from God. They would have already divided themselves from the generator, the operator, and the destroyer. They would have already separated themselves from the creative power that is within them that they can use to achieve their every desire. So right there, they're disempowering their self. Also, when they say, my people, those who are bringing the message to them make them believe that because they accept a certain religion or a certain denomination, or because they hold to a certain limiting belief that will actually stagnate them in life and stop them from learning anything further, because they accept that, they make them believe that they are the people. When you say my people, and they make them believe that this is an entity outside of themselves that is saying my people. You see, whenever you awake from the dream of life and you have experienced the inner birth, the invisible birth, the birth from the skull, okay, which is the true virgin birth, and also the resurrection. When you have that kind of experience, you're sent to tell your brothers and your sisters that everything is within. And so you being the messenger, you're the one who's gonna say, my people. And when you say my people, you're speaking about those who look just like you. And the reason for that is because there is one universal consciousness, yet we are different and unique in diverse ways. For example, look at nature. Okay, there are so many different fruit trees, but these fruits bring forth fruit with different shape and different taste and certain different nutrients and so on. Look at the animals. Some of the animals have even different diet. And if a certain animal go and feed on the diet of another animal, it might kill it. Okay? And so they are diverse in different ways. For example, the eagle will fly so high, and no other bird could fly as high as the eagle if they try to be disintegrated. Okay? And even though the chicken hawk is close to the eagle, it cannot fly as high as the eagle, cannot be as intelligent as the eagle, doesn't have the microscopic and telescopic vision like the eagle. Yet they are all animals. So just as all of us here having this human experience and there's one universal consciousness, yet we have different ways, okay? Different lifestyles, different tradition and so on. We have different makeup, okay? There are people who might have a close affinity to animals, and there are certain people who might not have close affinity to animals. There's some people who can very easily hybrid things, while there are people who just want to be close to nature. So we're different in so many ways. So you understand what I'm trying to say to you, okay? Now, once you understand that, you will understand whoever is awakened, you're gonna see where the people who look like you are falling asleep and where they've been destroyed for lack of knowledge. So if he's an Indian man, you're gonna see what is happening among the Indian people. If you're a Chinese man, you will definitely see what is happening among the Chinese people. If you're a Japanese man, you will see what is happening among the Japanese people. If you're a black man, you will see what is happening among the black people. If you're a Caucasian man, you will see what is happening among the Caucasian people. Okay, because why? Your eyes have been opened. You've been awakened from the dream of life. So you will see where your brothers and your sisters, which you refer to as my people. You see, there's some people who would like to say, oh, we are one, but do not specify this oneness. You see, if I travel to any part of this world and you travel with a passport, your passport will identify you a certain way. Doesn't matter how enlightened you are. It doesn't matter how awakened you are. It doesn't matter how much you think that we are one. Your passport gonna identify you a certain way. Your passport gonna carry a certain nationality, and you're gonna be treated a certain way also. So let us not get away from that. As I did in an earlier video, I said that enlightenment do not change your race, and it doesn't change how people's gonna treat you. Okay, so don't fool yourself with this oneness agenda that people's trying to push without defining this oneness. Okay, yes, there's one universal consciousness. I can agree with that. There's only one life. Okay, there's one intelligence and there's one power. And if you believe in oneness, then you will see all of the wrongs that was done and all the atrocities that have been done to other people. But most people don't want to go down that road. Make them uncomfortable. Okay, so yes, my brothers and my sisters. So many people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge of self. So for me, as a black man, when I look and I look at Africa, I see Africans are destroyed for a lack of knowledge of self because they're religious, they are superstitious, and they have so much fear, they have so much doubt, guilt, condemnation, and judgment upon themselves. Yet there are many who are rich in Africa. But when you look at the equation, there are far much more poor people than rich people, while Africa is the richest continent on this planet. And other races of people are living from the wealth of Africa because of the ignorance of the people, the ignorance of self. They do not hold to the power of knowing who they are. They rather believe in secular Christianity that is pointing them to look outwardly. And so they were given the Bible, and their lands and the other things were taken while they hold on to the Bible and believe in an idol, believe in a Lord, a God, a Savior outside of themselves and worshiping the idol of another race of people. You see, when you understand how war before used to be fun, whenever you win a war and you conquer the people, you make them worship your God. That's how you keep them conquered. That's how you keep them controlled, by making them worship your God. And that is why most people who've been raised in a colonial colony, where the people been colonized, if you look around carefully, you would see the continuation of slavery. And you would realize that most people are actually in an economic slavery. And it is because of ignorance of knowing who they are. So when it says that people destroy for lack of knowledge, it's knowledge of self. Because most people do not know that Bible is a book of mind science. Most people do not know it must be interpreted psychologically. It must be interpreted esoterically and metaphysically. And so many people are taking allegory for history, and they're taking personification for persons. For example, when it says in St. John 1 and 3 that all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Most people believe that him is speaking of a man 2,000 years ago because they were taught in school that there is such a thing as BC and AD. Yeah, and they believe that. Because they believe there's such a thing as past, present, and future, when they do not know everything is actually the present. So when they say things in the past, they're saying it right in the present. When they say things in the future, they're saying it right in the present. They just only know. And so what happened is, because you can transmute energy into whatever form, you can change one system in another way, and other people wouldn't recognize it. So you are a physical being, you're a psychological being, you're a spiritual being. Therefore, if I enslave you in a physical way, anyone can watch and see that you've been enslaved, physically speaking. But if I enslave you psychologically, or I enslave you spiritually, people cannot see. It takes people with special vision and special insight, people with discernment like myself to see, okay, because I can explain everything that is happening in my country and show you how it is actually run by a corporation. Sure, most people believe the government own the electricity company. Most people believe that. Most people believe that the people who own most of the business, they don't even look at the people good and realize what's going on. You see everything pointing back to a certain place and a certain race of people. Okay, I can go on and on and on in so many different ways to show you, okay, how, how people could be colonialized and have colonial mentality and still be kept in a poverty and mediocrity mentality. And the Bible definitely have been used to keep people in slavery, mental slavery, keep you in false identity, keep you to look outwardly. So even the Bible itself is teaching you that if you understand it properly, you would use reverse psychology. So you say that my people, anybody think that because they go to some church and they join themselves to some religion or denomination, they are God people. No. Any man that God awakes in, that man, and that man become enlightened and become aware, and he awake from the dream of life. All the people who listen to him and gravitate to what he's saying, those are the ones we've been sent to. But moreover, he would definitely resonate with people who look like himself, because they would look at him and they would see a reflection of themselves. That is why if you look in the mirror and you do not see a reflection of God, it is because you are brainwashed and you believe in a God outside of yourself. That's why when you look in the mirror of life, you're supposed to see your reflection in the mirror of life and see what kind of life you are producing. So, my brother, my sisters, I'm saying to you, do not allow yourself to be destroyed for lack of knowledge. Okay, knowledge of self. Many people in the Caribbean are allowing themselves to be destroyed for the lack of knowledge of self. They do not know who they are. They fail to realize that the only fundamental sin in this world is the sin of not knowing who you are. And the reason for that is because each and every one of us born in this world in a state of forgetfulness, a state of amnesia. That's why you cannot remember anything when you are a month old, or 2 months, or 3 months, or 4 months, or 5 months, 6 months, and I can go on and on. And that is why if there's no one who's aware to help you from that very young age, then your subconscious mind will be programmed just as your parents have been programmed. And so from generation to generation, the course will pass on. And it's right there in the Bible, in Hosea, okay, 4 and 6. And as a matter of fact, let me just read it for you, okay? Let me show you it. And I'm showing it from this Bible, which is my Bible, the 66 Books of Magic, the Overcomer's Bible. You're a magical being. And this Bible, every book, there's a small excerpt to show you that it is all psychological. It is not literal. And the New Testament of this book, Jesus has been omitted, and there's a blank space for you to write your name, which is I am. For I am is the name of all of humanity, and I am is the name of God. And you can never say I am and not referring to yourself. That is why the universal question of life will all be, who am I? And when the answer comes, it must be I am that I am, which is to say I am whatever I believe myself to be. For as a man thinketh in his heart, I subconscious mind, so is he. Now, Hosea chapter 4 and verses 6, right? And that this will be page 78 in my Bible, okay, this Bible, 66 Books of Magic, okay? It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of God, which is the law of thyself, thy higher self. Okay, I will also forget thy children. Children is speaking of your generation. You see, there will be a generational curse when you do not have self-knowledge. And that is why many of our people, okay, are still in dire poverty, mental slavery. They still believe that the key to life is going to school, get good grades, and then get a job. Many still believe, well, get working in the bank and working in these institutions, those are big jobs. They still have that kind of mentality. It's still instilled in our people. And it is because of lack of knowledge. Okay? And they need to know that they're born with gifts. They're born with certain talents. And once they get the right kind of teaching from small, and they become more aware of how powerful they are, and they understand mind power, and they understand that God in man is man's awareness of being, man's imagination, and they've been taught how to use their mind, they'll be able to accomplish anything in this world. And instead of just being just strictly employee, they can now become employers and employers and employers. Okay? There must be a balance. There's too much employee. So most of our people still kept in slavery. I did a book called Book Member Resort and the Messenger. And I said in that book that they're going to bring different investors after the man David Ames. Right now he's in England in a prison. Okay, not for what he do down here now, for other stuff that he did. Right? I said when he left, okay, after a while, for a couple of years, the resort would be there. And then the other slave masters, which they would normally refer to investors, through the politicians were telling those are investors, they would come and they would offer them something that would seem to be like a better offer. Okay, and many people gonna just go, you understand? And the slave plantation, as a matter of fact, the area where it's been built, it was a slave plantation. And they actually take white sand from another country and bring the white sand and put it over the black sand on that particular beach. And thousands and thousands and thousands of people going to interview for a job. And most of them going to be like pool boys. They're going to be bartender. Some going to work on the beach to serve the people lying on the cot, enjoying the sun. You know, some going to do landscaping and so on. And I speaking from experience, because when I was by that resort, I was a fitness trainer. I was working in the gym, and most of the guests, when they come and they look at me being in the gym, and I was the only black man they ever employed to work in the gym. It's the white guys they used to bring from overseas to work in the gym. They used to say, man, you get the best job. You get the best job on the resort here. I know what they were referring to when they were saying you get the best job in the resort here, because all the other people, they kind of jobs, they're doing housekeeping and so on and all of that. And the reason for that is because of how they were raised to believe, and how they were educated through a certain school system that have a certain curriculum and a certain syllabus. It's all slavery. So my brother, my sisters, do not allow yourself, neither your children, to suffer anymore because of a lack of self-knowledge. Know thyself, your higher self, your God self, and use your God power to achieve every desire, because everything in this world was first a thought, it was first an idea, it was first imagined. Every book that they're using to teach you in school, it was first a thought, it was first an idea, it was first imagined. The very Bible that they're using to brainwash the world, it was first a thought, it was first an idea, it was first imagined. Everything is mental, everything is psychological. You have to take control of your mind now. Other people will control your mind for you. That's why you have to learn to think for yourself. There is no God outside of yourself. If you do not have perception, you won't talk about God, Jesus, disciples. Why? Because you are the perceiver and everything else is the perception. You are the creator and everything is the creation. If you do not have any life or any consciousness or any awareness of being, you can't say God, you can't say Lord, you can't say none of those things. If the very breath that you're breathing be taken from you, you can't say none of that. Because why? Your true essence is invisible. You are invisible. Just living in a visible body. That's your true essence. You're a spirit. You're having a human experience. You're not a human trying to be spiritual, trying to go to church and trying to be saying you're going to get saved. No, you're eternal. You never have no beginning, you have no end. And you have to get out of the ignorance of not knowing our infinite eternal self. You can do all things through that Christ power, which is the innovative, creative, imaginative power that is within you. So my brothers and my sisters, this knowledge that I'm sharing with you, all the great inventors and innovators, they knew this knowledge. That's why they use it to give you the electricity companies. You understand? And be charging you, you have to pay electricity bill. Okay? When you are actually an electrical and magnetic being, okay? The automobile have always been here. The telephone have always been here. It just needed people to vibrate at a certain level of frequency to attract it into their psyche and express it in this three-dimensional physical world. So, if you do not know how to go into the inner world, the invisible world, and if you do not understand that true prayer is desire and meditation and going into meditation, but instead you are praying and talking audibly to a God outside of yourself, thinking of God, and nobody answering you, but you still not knowing that you're speaking to your own self. And you're supposed to go into meditation instead and act it out in visualization. And then you would realize the reality in manifestation. When you do not have those kind of knowledge, right, of yourself, when you do not know that everything exists within you, when you do not realize that this world, this entire world that seems to be solid is an illusion. Okay, when you do not know that, when you do not know that eternity itself is downloaded in you, when you do not know those things, you know the number that people can play on you. When you lack that kind of knowledge, you realize that this life is a game, and you either learn to play the game or get played by the game. And so many people have been getting played by the game. When they see things happening in this world, they say, oh, the end of the world. Which world coming to an end? No world coming to no end. They say, oh, the fulfillment of prophecy. But when money was invented, nobody says the fulfillment of prophecy. When the automobile was built, nobody said the fulfillment of prophecy. When the airplane was built, nobody said the fulfillment of prophecy. When the internet, when www.com, when all of those things were implemented, nobody said fulfillment of prophecy. But when negative things happen, this is fulfillment of prophecy. It's a brainwash. That's when people have been kept in idolatry and conformity. That's when people do not know who they are. They just say what they hear the parents say, and the teachers, the politicians, the religious ministers, and they just regurgitate all of that, and they live by what I refer to as parrotism. That was something that I was inspired with from a very early stage. I was told to get away from parrotism. It's a disease that many people are suffering from. And when you become intellectual and believe that you know something because you read it in a book or you hear someone say it and you do not know, you're brainwashing yourself. Because true knowing is experiential. You have to have the experience. Why you think I can say that Jesus as a literal man 2,000 years ago never existed? Because I had the birth. The birth from the skull, the true virgin birth. I had the resurrection experience. I had all those experiences, and that is how I know. And that is why I'm saying to you that the greatest power that you can possess in this world is knowing who you are. Self-knowledge is the greatest power anyone can possess in this world. No one could have a thought for you. You can have a thought for me. The thought world, when you start to rule in the thought world, then you rule in the physical world. You have to control your mind. Other people will govern your mind. Where do you think government come from? Government to govern your mentality. So you have church government, you have political government, you have school government, you have all kind of government. But until you learn to govern your life, you won't be able to create your life whichever way you want it to be. That's why we have been given the power of choice. So my brother, my sister, the choice is yours. You can continue in idolatry, or you can look inwardly and discover that the kingdom of God is within you. Discover that there's a pearl of great price that is within you. You'll discover that everything in this world, it came from the mind of someone. So what happened to your mind? What happened to your mind? You have greatness within you. So tap in to your reservoir and you will find lying dormant potential that you never knew lie within you. But you have to get rid of all form of idolatry. You have to get rid of the colonial mentality. Get rid of all stupidity. And know that the Almighty is within you, not outside of you. The very life in you is God. God can't talk without your mouth. God can't hear without your ears. God can't eat without your mouth. The mouth of God is the mind of man, and the mind of man is the mouth of God. That's just basic common sense. Okay? That's why they tell you men wrote as they were inspired by God. Who those men were? Men like me. Mystics. That's why we could understand the mystery, because the mystery can never be known intellectually. It must be by experience. So many people have been destroyed for lack of knowledge of self. They do not know who they are. So with that being said, my brother and my sister, I can go on and on and on and on, but I'm going to come to a close, and I want to thank you very much for listening to me. And I want to say to you, if this is the very first time that you're listening to me and what I'm saying, if it makes sense to you, if it really resonates with you, then it is definitely for you. And so if you haven't subscribed already, I'm definitely encouraging you to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to share this video. Also, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram and you'd like to follow me on TikTok, you can definitely follow me at BlackMadGuru. And if you'd like to grab a whole of my work, I will definitely encourage you to check out all of the links down below. I have books available for you. I have courses for you. You could be a part of my Patreon community. I have a merch. Anything that you desire, just check out all of the links down below when you finish listening to this video, and let your intuition lead you and guide you. But as I come to a close, I want to leave this with you. Greatness is within you. Self-knowledge is the greatest power. And when you find that power, you will use it to achieve your every desire. So with that being said, my brothers and my sisters, I just want to say peace. Love you all. Out.